the cry is a very distressed one, a very high-pitched one. And no effort to console seems to help the baby.
One baby every half an hour in the United States is born addicted to drugs.
We have had cases where the mother admits that I just shot up heroin in the parking lot before I came in to deliver my baby.
On these wards, milk and methadone go hand in hand.
Death is one of the outcomes. You may die from it, and certainly babies would be more vulnerable to death than adults.
A place where mothers are racked with guilt.
I mean, you don't ever want your kid to go through that.
We've come to Indiana, a state witnessing an epidemic of drug abuse.
There's a lot of heroin use down here, a lot of other drugs as well, but heroin's pretty bad in the neighborhood.
Where painkillers are so strong that when supplies run out, there is only one alternative.
I mean, I made money every day just to feed my habit.
We ask what's causing this epidemic and who's to blame, and question what the long-term genetic effects might be for the youngest victims of them all.
Worse than all of that is that these imprints can become heritable, can be passed down from one generation to the next. We had no idea that this was possible, but now we do.
This is Elijah. He's only 6 weeks old, but he's already had a lifetime of pain. His mother was addicted to strong painkillers, and throughout her whole pregnancy was taking the heroin substitute methadone to wean herself off. It meant that when her son was born, he had crippling withdrawals from the drug he'd become dependent on in the womb. In a decade, the number of babies in this situation hasn't just crept up, it's quadrupled.
The babies generally within 12 to 24 hours have significant symptoms of withdrawal from those narcotics, crying, vomiting. It's a very, very painful, agitating process for them. And the reality is we have to give them that narcotic back and slowly wean them off.
Elijah's mum Jessica is only 27, but she's had 3 children, and she has 4 stepchildren. This isn't the first child she's had that suffered drug withdrawal. It happened with her last baby too.
You know, after 2 epidurals and 3 spinal taps, you're gonna have a hurt back. I was getting prescriptions here and there, and I noticed that they helped, and if I ran out, I mean, I was getting my own, and that's kind of just how it led to all this. So taking them, you know, I was able to get things done that I wanted to do, and I didn't have pain, and I could be super mom, I guess, you know. And I mean, it went from just taking them on the weekends to really actually needing them, you know, starting to need them every day, because you wake up feeling sick, and once you start noticing that, and then it's just a day-to-day thing is, you know, I gotta have a few just so I don't feel sick, or I gotta have, you know, even if it's just one to wake up to in the morning, just so I'm not feeling like crap.
I think there's a lot of guilt. I think there's a lot of anxiety that they have provoked this on their baby. We have had cases where the mother admits that I just shot up heroin in the parking lot before I came in to deliver my baby. They deliver the baby and try to get her, but within 24 hours she signs herself out or she just disappears.
In Indiana, addiction rates for heroin have soared. Hospital figures show there's a heroin-related overdose every single day. A few years ago, meth was all the rage around here, and in fact across the United States. But times have changed. The drug of choice here in Indiana became the humble painkiller, a very strong one from the opiate family, the same family as heroin. But as supplies run low and doctors forced to prescribe less, many people are going back, not to meth, but to heroin, fueling one of the biggest epidemics the United States has ever seen. We've stopped by the roadside in one of the most dangerous neighbourhoods in Indianapolis. It's well known for drugs and gun crime. The 27-year-old woman the police have arrested is suspected to have just been injecting heroin. Police have found used needles in her bag. We're told that the nature of crime here is beginning to change as the appetite for painkillers and heroin increases once again.
I can tell you this, that our number one robberies, like business robberies now, when I started it was convenience stores, then it moved into maybe some of the fast food places, and now it's a lot of it. Recently, the last 6 months, it's been the pharmacies and it's been drugs.
They were just some painkillers from my combat injury. I never knew they were so addictive.
More people abuse prescription drugs than cocaine, heroin, hallucinogens, and inhalants combined.
This is the new weapon against the painkillers. Ads like this one are all over the TV in Indiana.
And every 25 minutes, someone dies from a prescription drug overdose.
Get the facts. Visit bitterpill.in.gov.
I think throughout our entire city, what we're really seeing is a big spike in opiates of all kinds.
The addiction counsellors have never been busier, and Eric Davis, a former addict himself, runs 4 of the biggest rehab centres in Indianapolis.
I think here in the United States, we try to take a pill for everything. It's like, oh, we've got a pill for that. The problem with opiates is that they work so well. They do their job so well that people start taking them and they don't realize that they're basically signing their soul over to these things. I mean, once they have a hold of you, you can't get off of them pain-free.
According to the Centre for Disease Control and Prevention, 259 million prescriptions for powerful painkillers were written in 2014. That's enough for every American adult to have their own bottle of pills.
A 400% increase in opiate prescription rates was the beginning of this epidemic. And you might ask how that occurred. And that occurred because a sort of war on pain was perpetrated upon us. It seemed to come from the public, but in fact it was funded by Big Pharma.
So what could the long-term effects be for babies in drug withdrawal? The answer could come from alarming scientific data, which suggests that the damage done to babies in the womb could imprint on their very DNA, affecting them and possibly their children too.
Worse than all of that is that these imprints can become heritable, can be passed down from one generation to the next. We had no idea that this was possible, but now we do. What we don't know is specifically whether opiates and the exposures that babies are undergoing are causing this.
I mean, I hope it won't affect him when he's, a little bit older. I know sometimes when my 1-year-old cries or does certain things, I always think, I think back to her withdrawing, and I'm like, well, maybe that's a reason why she does certain things, I guess you'd say. Maybe cries a certain way, or it gets real tense sometimes, and I always think that. I mean, I wouldn't want that to happen to him.
The daily mix of milk and morphine is an unlikely duo, but it's all doctors can do. And no one knows how this will affect him in the future.
It's terrifying. By far. You don't know what could happen. Things could go from good to bad, in the blink of an eye.
So I feel especially bad for the victims of our liberal use of opiate prescriptions, because we've basically set them up. Had they not been exposed to opiates, this would not have happened to them.
This is something Elijah will never remember, but if the fears of scientists are realised, this episode in his life is something his body, his very genetic makeup, may never be able to forget. Nick Martin, Sky News, Indiana.